So I'm standing there and I'm pulling one car after another over because everybody's speeding in the area. And this guy from the office building walks out and he's coming over to me, so I lower the volume down on the radar. And he says, what's going on? I said, well, we got a lot of complaints about people speeding on this street. And he says, well, you're pulling them over for speeding? I said, yes. He said, well, I don't see you holding up the radar. How do you know they're speeding? I said, well, I really don't know. It's just a guessing game. Besides, if they weren't speeding today, they were probably speeding yesterday. He says, you can do that? I said, well, you see me doing it, don't you? So a lot of people have been asking about when am I going to tell another cop story. Well, here's a funny one. We had what we call in this county, and I'm sure they have it every place, what they call area watches. That's a place or a particular street where people complain that everybody's speeding. And it's always the same story. My street is like a racetrack. Nobody's going the speed limit. Everybody's speeding. And they have these books at the sheriff's office. Every morning before you go out, you're supposed to look at these books and find a couple of streets and make sure you spend at least an hour at one of these streets. So this particular street, the speed limit is 30 miles an hour. It actually should be about 45 miles an hour. But that's neither here nor there. So I find a good spot under a shady tree. I'm parked in a driveway. And about 50 feet away from me is this office building. And I noticed that some people are watching because they see a cop pulled over there. They want to know what's going on. So anyway, I'm watching, and I've got the radar on, and as the cars come around, it's a slight curve, and before they could see me, I pick them up on radar, and the average speed is about 45 miles an hour. So I start pulling people over. I just step out into the street, wave them down, and I give them a written warning, and I tell them why I'm there. People are complaining about all the speeding, and you were going 45, but I'm not going to cite you, I'm just going to give you a written warning. So this goes on probably about 8 or 10 cars, maybe more than that I pull over, and I write them out the written warning, and they're on their way, no big deal. And then this guy walks over, and I see him coming, so I lower down the volume on the radar. It makes a high-pitched sound, so you could tell, that somebody's speeding, and you could look at the meter and see exactly how fast they're going. Now, on our motorcycles, the police bikes, the radar is actually mounted on the crash bar, so you don't have to hold anything in your hand, but this guy obviously doesn't know that, so he walks over, he said, what's going on? I said, well, it's people are complaining about speed on the street here, so they sent me over here to do something about it. He says, so you're stopping these people for speeding? I said, yeah. He says, well, how do you know they're speeding? I don't see you holding a radar. So I said, well, it's just a guessing game. I take a guess, I look at it, I figure if they're speeding. He says, suppose they weren't speeding. I said, well, if they weren't speeding today, they were probably speeding yesterday, so no big deal. So he's watching me. Here comes a car. I said to him, how fast you think this car is going? He goes, maybe 40. I said, that's good enough for me. And I pull the car over, and I walk over with my written warning book. He doesn't know it's a written warning book. And the guy's on his way, and he says, you've been doing that all day long? I says, yeah, it's just a big guessing game. If they weren't speeding now, they'll be speeding tomorrow or the next day. So really, it's no big deal. This guy then walks back to the building. There's like a picture window there, and a crowd is starting to gather in the office. There's 4 or 5 people, and each time I pull a car over, I see them pointing and laughing. Some of them laughing, and I imagine they're saying to themselves, these people don't have any idea that this guy has no clue what speed they're going. It's just a guessing game, and he's giving them speeding tickets. That's not right. Some of them are mad, some are complaining, some of them are laughing. But I was about 2 weeks from retirement, so I figured for sure this guy's going to call and complain on me, but actually he never did, and I was shocked at that. But I had a lot of fun that day. I should have been there for about an hour. I actually stayed for 2 hours till I could really draw a big crowd. It was a lot of fun. Now, by the way, a couple of days ago, I put up my 2014 police bike for sale, and some people were saying that the white seat looks a little strange, and that's because the way I videoed it, it looks like the white driveway got in the way of the seat, and I'm going to show you what the bike looks like with a black seat on it so that there's no confusion about that. All right, here's the bike with the regular black seat on it, since it was confusing some people. And you can see I sort of like the white seat, first of all, because when you sit on the seat and it's been sitting out in the sun, you don't burn your butt. But anyway, here it is with the standard black seat. This seat is actually from a Harley Ultra Low, which means it pushes you a little bit closer to the handlebars. In fact, the white seat that you saw on there does the exact same thing. It's the close seat, they call it. It puts your feet closer to the ground and brings you a little bit closer to the bars. But anyway, here's what it looks like with the standard seat. And there won't be any reflection from the driveway getting in the way. Once again, this is a 2014 police motorcycle based on now the Street Glide instead of the Electra Glide. You see it's got the minor trim on the front fender like the Street Glide. What I've added to this is the wraparound bars for the bags that helps to protect them in case of a tip over. This bike hasn't been tipped over. It's my bike. I haven't dropped the bike in 20 years, so you don't have to worry about that. It's got less than 4,000 miles on it. I think it was 38 or 3,900 miles. It's like brand new, not a scratch or a mark on it. And I'm asking $13,200. And by the way, you should know that if you wanted to finance the bike, local Harley-Davidson dealerships now offer a program where you could finance it through them. So if you got decent credit, I'm sure they'd have no problem financing a motorcycle, a 2014 with less than 4,000 miles, and you could even get a warranty from Harley-Davidson. If you're interested, just give me a call, toll free 866-868-7433, or email me at motorman1857@yahoo.com. Beautiful motorcycle, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And until next time.